As we talk about machinery installation and maintenance and shaft alignment, one of the very important safety issues we want to talk about is lockout tagout. Now, what is lockout tagout? Well, it's the isolation of all energy sources from whatever you're working on, and we'll discuss that a little bit more, what exactly that means in a minute. Also, why is it so important? Well, it's important to isolate all the energy sources to make sure that nothing leaks out on you or starts up while you're working on it. So it's very important for your safety, for the safety of your coworkers, and for the safety of other people working around you. So with lockout tagout, what you would have, one is your lock. You have your piece of equipment. Usually it's going to have some box, and it's very important that you check the number on that box and make sure that it matches the piece of equipment you're locking out, so that you're actually locking out what you're working on. When you take that lock, you turn your piece of equipment off to the off position. There'll be a little hole down here, and you can slide your lock right in there. Now, this is an electrical disconnect, and that's part of it. This fan has a motor that I need to lock out because I'm working on equipment. I don't want it to start up while I'm working on it. But something else that's also very important to think about is what's running through the fan, and if something else in the line starts up, will it spin the fan? So in this instance, I would want to check the lines in and out of the fan and find a valve and shut it off to make sure if somebody starts something else in the system, it doesn't start spinning my fan. So it's important to do electrical and anything else. Steam lines, whatever's run into your piece of equipment, make sure that there's some safety barriers there. Also, you'll notice here, there's only room for one lock. So it's very important that we leave room for other locks and for other people to lock out, because it might be a large piece of equipment that several people are working on. So in that instance, you might use a gang like this to put in here, and that way several people can lock. Or you may have a type of tag that allows multiple people to lock out on, like these.
Do they have to be metal?
No, that's a good question. They don't have to be metal, but what they do have to be is impervious to the environment. And what that means is you don't want to put a paper tag on your lock and then something happens, somebody walk by and brush it and it just tears off. Or maybe the area you're working in is humid and wet, and that would cause the paper to deteriorate and maybe fall off. You want a tag that when somebody comes up, it's going to be there no matter what. And so this is a good tag because it's going to be there. It can handle a lot of different situations and elements. And so then you can put that in here and put your lock in one of the holes on there, or in one of the holes in a piece like this. It does the same thing. It's also very important that these tags are clearly printed with your name, the company you're working for, and a way to get to either you or the company, a phone number, some identification, because if they need to start a piece of equipment up, they've got to be able to find you. It's very difficult for them. Most programs won't let them cut locks off unless they can absolutely identify that the person has been notified that the lock is removed. That's another reason why it's so important that it be impervious to the environment. Now, your lock doesn't have to be this heavy duty, but it does also need to be strong enough that it can't just be pulled off. You don't want to use a suitcase, luggage lock, something that somebody can just pull off very easily. You need something, here's a common safety lock, and it's a little bit smaller, but you still have to have a bolt cutter or something to remove it. It's not very easy to remove all on its own. So, once we've got our tag on there, properly and clearly labeled, we've got our lock on there, we'll take our key out and put it in our pocket. The next thing we want to do, if we can, is try it. So if your piece of equipment has an on-off switch, and this one doesn't, but if it does, then you want to push that switch and just see if it starts up. If it does start up, then you're not properly tagged out. Another important thing to check. So you lock it, you tag it, you try it. And then when you're all done, make sure you remove this lock, because
Do you have to have permission to put a lock on, or can you just do that on your own?
It depends on the program that your plant has, but yeah, you can just put the lock on yourself. They may come by and question it, but you don't have to have any particular permission or anything like that to lock out what you're working on. So let's review. We want to make sure that all our energy sources are locked out. We want to leave space for other people's locks. We want to make sure that the tag is legible. And it's important to also use something that's going to stay on there and something that's clear to see. A Sharpie's a good choice. And if you've got a nice tag like this, you can use it for different companies. You just want to make sure that you change company names as you move from job site to job site. And make sure that you remove your locks so that they can start up, and try it without any added delay. It can cause a lot of headache if at the last minute, when they're trying to start everything up, they find out your lock's still on there and you've already gone home for the day. So those are our major points, and as we go out and work on some equipment here in the shop, I want you all to go through the proper lockout techniques, make sure everything's locked out correctly, and I think that's it. Are there any other questions? Thank you.